Simps, or simping. These words have been a cause for quite a stir in the FGC, and caught my eye most recently by a respected player named Kami. This player on Twitter sent a message to his fans that reads, "If you put your girlfriend at username in your bio, you're on a different level of simp. Take that shit out." To no surprise, there was a bit of backlash to this comment from other members in the FGC. Some may have felt personally attacked, and others felt the need to defend these people called simps. On another side, some were simply trying to enjoy the absurdity of the moment. When I saw this talked about on the button check video called Street Fighter V is now playable on Linux, and the FGC calls out Simps by Ernesto Lopez Comedy, link below, that was a long ass title. Well, anyway, it had me thinking, are gamers simps? In particular, are gamers of the FGC simps? Well, to be able to understand this, we'd have to first define what a simp is. According to the website dailyrapfacts.com, a simp is a man who is needy and a fool for women. A simp is usually friend-zoned and mistreated by women. Their definition of the word simp is short for simpleton. As an example, if a man makes sacrifices based on unrequited love for a girl or woman, he would be a simpleton. There is a lot of overlap with other terms that may describe similar behavior. The word chivalry comes to mind. According to chivalrytoday.com, chivalry is gallantry, courtesy, and honor. The noble qualities a knight was supposed to have, such as courage and readiness to help the weak, and the demonstration of any of these qualities. Unlike chivalry, simping is not about protecting the weak or living with honor. It is a submissive mindset that caters to the opposite sex, regardless of merit or responsibility. Simp is also often interpreted as an acronym for sucker idolizing mediocre pussy. By this criteria, simping means foolishly over-catering to the exaggerated emotions of women. Many people have different opinions of what this term actually refers to, but the general consensus is that simp, or the act of simping, is submissive in nature and pertains to the idolization of a person or gender based on zero merit. Also, there are people who believe that defending women without cause makes them a simp, though this can be circumstantial because support and expression for something you believe in doesn't necessarily make you submissive or a simp. But let me ask, why is enjoying the female body considered such a cardinal sin? This mostly has to do with the Christianity culture that is ingrained in society, where people are judged for enjoying sex or sexual related content. This extends to South America and other Western nations where they are heavily influenced by Catholic culture as well, creating a belief system that we as people should view sex as something sacred, and sometimes evil or incorrect. It's not wrong to be sexual, nor is it wrong to enjoy sexuality. This sort of sexual oppression gave way to deprivation and in turn creates fetishes or perversion of something that by existence is natural, making certain individuals thirsty and in need of attention from the opposite sex. It wasn't always like this though. Over time in the past century, many protests and rallies were held, where women were successful in creating an ideology that they are equal to men and should be treated as much. Radical feminists at the time such as Shulamith Firestone were the pioneers in women's civil rights and empowerment in male-dominated society. I agree with the sentiment that we should be treated as equals, but there's a distinct inequality when it comes to certain topics of discussion.
No, they're relentless, they never stop, and there's no reason for them to stop. You know why? Because you can't hit them. That's what it is. Think about that. There's no physical ramifications for being an asshole when you're a woman. Do you know how much of a dick I would be if it was socially unacceptable to kick the shit out of me?
Chivalry was a popular quality to have back in the day, before radical feminism began to eliminate it from social customs.
The only thing in our society that bothers me the most is the way that men and women don't get along no more. That's really what's bugging me about it. Men and women just don't get along. Like I hear women say this all the time. I know a lot of you sisters be like, chivalry is dead. Don't you? Don't y'all feel that way? Like men aren't gentlemen anymore? That's right. Chivalry is dead, and women killed it.
This draws parallels to the gaming culture we live in today. Video games in general have been a male-dominated scene for years. Taking into account recent statistics, there has been a growing population of female gamers over the years, although this may be skewed because mobile gaming has a much wider demographic than traditional console and arcade gaming. This does not dismiss the original focus there used to be when video games were heavily pushed during the 80s and 90s. Fighting games in particular are full of sexualized characters, where a majority of the cast is displayed partially clothed, and certain assets are exaggerated or brushed up by the artists that create the game. This sort of thing has been addressed plenty of times throughout video game history, and to this day some characters are purposely made to be strong female or androgynous leads, and other pre-existing characters were toned down because of public reception. Yet, despite this, women still cosplay and objectify themselves as their favorite characters. This sort of reactionary response from the games community is a knee-jerk reaction to the vocal minority that feel excluded from something they were never a part of. These attempts of inclusiveness have been made with the objective to attract a female demographic and broaden the audience. May it be for sales or moral objection. Unfortunately, partly due to gender roles and societal pressures, male gamers outnumber female gamers in almost every games category, especially fighting games. It is quite curious, though, that there's usually never any backlash from women or men for sexualization of males in video games, even though many of them wear little to no clothing and have unrealistic body proportions. It may be because males typically play video games and don't see the need to complain because they might want to identify with said character, or, cause they enjoy the view. This is where many feminists and so-called white knights, or simps, may create an agenda to eradicate sexuality from video games, and sometimes feel the need to shame others or express disdain for that sort of media, but only when it has to do with female representation. By effect, creating a double standard. If there was something wrong with sex, we as a human race wouldn't even exist. Many European countries, including Eastern nations like Japan, have far less issues with sexual content and nature, bringing me to understand that most gamers who are white knights or feminists do not perceive the value of a woman based on her merit, but value them simply for being female like an object, overshadowing the women who actually enjoy the sexual empowerment females have in video games, and thus creates a moral quandary. It's quite apparent in society outside of video games, where political candidates, no matter what their stance is, or if they are qualified for the job, are often considered if they are women. This leads me to discuss a fundamental principle that at times is rarely mentioned: putting pussy on a pedestal. It's always been an issue with many individuals where they look at a woman and believe she is innocent, like an angel, no matter what the circumstance.
So at the end of the hour, they come to the logical conclusion. They're like, there is no reason to hit a woman. There is no reason to hit a woman. And I was just like, really? I could give you like 17 right off the top of my head. You could wake me from a drunken stupor, I could still give you like 9. Dude, there's plenty of reasons to hit a woman. You just don't do it. But to sit there and suggest that there's no reason. Dude, the level of ego behind that statement. What are you, levitating above the rest of us? You're never annoying?
In turn, it creates a subculture in men where e-girls, for example, are lavished with gifts, praise, and money simply for being attractive women. In a male-dominated scene, seeing a woman playing your favorite game grabs your attention. In a scene like ours, fighting games are already a niche genre compared to most, and female representation is almost always praised because of the scarcity. Because of this, when a male gamer gets to know a female within their realm, they are infatuated and begin idolizing them simply for being a gamer grill or a woman in my proximity. It's why when you see a girl on stream, Pay attention to the chat, and you might see it explode with messages asking who is the grill and making O faces any chance they get. This brings up the question, is being a simp wrong? Well, if we bring into question morality, asking what's right or wrong, like most things in life, it can be either or. This is because the idea of correct and incorrect is subjective to the culture it comes from. In certain cultures, like cultures in South America for example, a man who allows himself to be controlled by a woman is normally mocked, calling him mandarina, which means guy who gets bossed around, usually by women. Both genders can be just as bad, and being submissive to another person, regardless of gender, isn't the way to prosper and achieve optimal self-realization. Unfortunately, various studies that can be found on ResearchGate suggest that self-esteem and life satisfaction in males is exponentially lower than females. This creates a situation where men throughout life live with an inferiority complex that may contribute to the cuck and simp nature of today. Other things can be looked at objectively though. No one, this goes for men and women, no one should lower their standards or repeal their self-esteem for anybody. How do you know if you're a simp? Well, maybe we can reflect on an example. If a girl sets conditions before accepting you, and you accept, you might be a simp. Jokes aside, there are many questions you can ask yourself, and many situations can be exemplified where people put themselves through hell to satisfy a person who doesn't deserve it. In my opinion, no man or woman should be treated special based on their sex, and no one should praise a person if they don't deserve it. Don't let thirst control you, my friends. This has been the FGC Philosopher. Thanks for watching.